All right, then, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Zay here with Chris. We got another episode of the report card for you. It's called The Watchers. Pretty much, it's a movie. It's like a psychological thriller movie. It pretends to kind of be that, but it definitely comes across as like...
It's very short.
So the story pretty much follows 28-year-old artist Mina. She has a bird with her. She's delivering it somewhere, and she gets lost in a forest. She ends up leaving her car, and then...
her car stops working.
Yeah, her car stops working, like at a certain point when she drives into the forest. She starts walking out, and then she turns around, and then her car is gone. She then ends up running into Madeline. Like, she follows her all the way to this bunker where they run into Daniel and Sierra. And then Mina finds out that night that they're being watched by these watchers. These creatures that Madeline calls the Watchers. And Mina's kind of wondering, like, what do they want from us? What do they want us to do? And Madeline just says, they just want to observe us. So just, be yourself.
Let them do their, let them watch us, and you just act normal. Like, you act as, a
just
human.
Like normal people. And they have this, there's some themes that M. Night tried to establish here, like in the bunker. They pretty much give them this reality show DVD where they see like a dating reality show. We've seen them all the time. Things that kind of look like Too Hot to Handle and like stuff like that. Love Island. So they have them watching that. And I think that's supposed to be a way of like a double entendre almost. It's very hard to kind of tell. It's like they're being forced to watch that. Like watch the fake performative side of how TV is to manifest like how we would think humans act in these situations while they're actually being watched by these creatures that are literally just trying to mimic them or trying to kind of like become them and whatnot. Just to be completely honest with you, it was not paced well. It was definitely dragging a lot of points. It never felt like it was fully together. I think one of the things that is disappointing is that it's not like the cast is bad. They could have worked in any other movies. It just did not work well with this film. There's a lot of parts. Daniel's character, who's played by Oliver Finnegan, he seemed out of place a bit. He was a little bit schizo, like crazy, like, or just off the rails. It just didn't work with the story that was trying to be presented. And then Georgina Campbell, we've seen her in so many horror movies. Chris, you said it wonderfully when we first saw her in this. She's doing her normal thing. It's nothing new for her. It's not like she brings a different performance here than we haven't seen already in her career with like Barbarian or even Bird Box Barcelona. It just didn't work. I don't know. It's very hard to pinpoint any real good parts of the film.
Ultimately,
a lot of it felt empty. But what are your thoughts in terms of what didn't work in The Watchers for you?
Ultimately, from the whole storyline, I just felt like this is something that wasn't even enticing. Like the whole storyline of, we're being watched. Okay, why are we being watched, right? So he gets into that, and it's literally, ultimately, they're just trying to observe our behavior. That's literally all that their purpose was. Then at the very end, you have all this folklore into it, which is literally like these fairies and all these other things. And I'm just like, once again, you're taking too many concepts. No, stick to that simplicity of it. And also, it's just so funny to see it. Now, spoiler alert, just in case, if you want to go see it, obviously go see that before you come and see this. This movie didn't need to be made. It wasn't ever exciting. It wasn't ever intense. Only once you showed me the Watchers themselves, I didn't care. A lot of things didn't really make sense. Now all of a sudden they're trying to get into the bunker or whatever because now you guys found another place to go. Why all of a sudden now? Because y'all broke these rules. Like I said, it was just all over the place. Like
it did not have any real cohesiveness to it.
And I never truly cared about the characters either.
Like we said, the middle act of the movie is pretty much Mina as the protagonist trying to teach us, what are the, Madeline's kind of telling her the rules, don't stay out past, sundown, and don't go into these big gaping holes where they kind of go into. That's where the Watchers, they be staying and whatnot. And so, of course, Mina's going to start to break the rules because she's trying to get out of here. Sierra and Daniel, they've been brainwashed into thinking this is their new life. Now they've been there for at least between
Daniel's
5 to 8 months.
Yeah, Daniel's fearful of dying, and Sierra's waiting for her husband. She's just
Sierra lost her. Yeah, Sierra lost. Well, her husband was with them at one point, and then he left, and he just has not been seen since. Except in the middle portion of the movie, he does come back, And it's a part in the trailer, you know, where he gets dragged away on the TV screen because Mina ends up going into one of the holes. Like we said, she broke a rule. She went into one of the holes. She ended up finding a camera, and then they use that camera connected to their TV so they can see the outside at night, which is a decent idea, and it was executed all right.
And the bike too, so that they can move quicker. She's like,
yes, and she found a bike as well.
We can gain a lot more field if we have a bike instead of us all walking everywhere.
But the tension that they were trying to build up when Sierra's husband, when John showed up, it did not work, because not only do I not really care about y'all, but I'm still completely lost as to what's really going on, and you haven't gripped me in any parts to make me feel for John or feel anything when he gets taken away or out.
We already saw John at the beginning. John's the first person.
He's the first person that was taken, and I'm just like, I know when horror movies do that, it's sometimes it's just to show you this is kind of what happens to people. Other times it's to give you a precursor as to what can happen later. It just wasn't done well here. You know, Madeline, I think Madeline, you know, was a decent character, and I think the actress did everything she could to bring life to her. Like, I'm gonna try to protect you, don't open the door, you're not acting right, you know, doing these things that would keep Sierra from opening the door. But I just didn't care. And this is halfway through the film, so by the time that we're actually introduced to the Watchers, because Mina and Madeline are outside, and Daniel gets out again, and he's like, no, Sierra and I are gonna stay in the bunker, you guys stay outside because you guys broke the rules. Mina and Madeline end up hiding into some little hut, and then we're finally introduced to them, which is the only positive thing I'd say about the film. It's just the introduction of how creepy they were. They ended up standing up. They have these really long hair. They almost look like trees, which I thought for a second, hey, that's not bad. There's a lot of them, which was intimidating. They literally just stand there and watch on the other side of the glass. It's very, very creepy. Chris, let's talk about this third act. From the moment that they end up discovering this underground bunker.
Inevitably guess.
I did guess it. I did guess it from the beginning, which was Madeline is one of them, but they end up going into a bunker, or they find a bunker underneath them, underneath a rug, and they go into it, and then the Watchers, noticing that they're, you know, breaking the rules and doing all this stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, they end up breaking into the actual bunker after they go downstairs.
Mina at this time was drawing all over the floor the different maps, so I'm sorry, how are you drawing all over the floor, but you never saw once this handle that led to a bunker?
Like, you never checked inside every crevice inside. I would have done that the very first night.
Or like, cause it was underneath a rug, but it's like, okay, but you're drawing a full-blown map of the forest so that you can figure out different ways to get out. So I understand during the day you're going out, but at nighttime it's like you're not even
like move the rug.
That's why I'm saying, I'm like, what, you never drew in that one specific area?
It was for plot purposes that she discovered it at that time. But they do go underneath, and they pretty much hear about the professor. We've heard about the professor throughout the movie. He's just the guy who built the bunker in the place, and that's what they're in it. Turns out he's harbored a Watcher, actually. He caught one, and his wife died. He was starting to figure out that the Watchers can like shapeshift into humans. Like, that's what they can do.
So what they are, like the Watchers, they pretty much are like, just like back in folklore, they're fairies, but that's what we call them, but they have multiple names, and we see that whenever Mina finds his research, and this is of course after they inevitably escape.
Yes, and so when they do end up discovering that they're fairies, Madeline is the professor's wife, and so that had died, and so Madeline isn't like his actual wife. Madeline is the Watcher who has pretty much perfected this transformation that they do into her. And so she has been, which means, yes, even as a Watcher, Madeline's been like protecting the humans, but this third act goes completely off the rails. Daniel ends up dying. So
oh yeah, let me say about how Daniel died. Daniel was actually very close to Sierra, and because obviously they were there longer together than obviously him and Mina, right? Dakota Fanning. Granted, Madeline told them, hey, when we're in this forest, stay close together. Things are gonna play tricks on you. Do not, don't fall for it. She has always said that since the beginning of the movie. And now all of a sudden, Daniel wants to be save-a-ho and literally is thinking, oh, let me go save Sierra's husband, which is John. when we've already seen, regardless if that was truly John outside the bunker that night when they had the camera out there, you've already seen that this man is clearly not what you know, he's not.
He's packed up.
Yeah, he's clearly, that's not him. They're just watching and literally transformed in him. And granted, if you knew that or not, she had already told you, hey, it's gonna play tricks on you, stay close together, we need to get to this boat, we don't have that much time, right? And then, like, plus I think they were also controlling the days and stuff in terms of like how dark it was and how they were like the days were getting shorter, but I also think it was getting to be winter time too, so of course the day's gonna be shorter.
Yeah.
And they are in Ireland. Literally, Daniel, like I said, trying to be Save-A-Ho, they finally get to the boat, they're all happy and together. Daniel decides to sit back for whatever fucking reason, and he's literally like, because he sees John, like, you know, because John has a very distinct orange jacket on that's like a big puffer, so he's just like, so he's probably thinking like, I can help Sierra, like, get her husband back,
I can save him.
He's, like I said, trying to be Save-A-Ho. Then he ends up dying, and he ends up dying by getting his knee fucked up. He gets scraped in the back of his leg, so obviously he's fallen. Now you're not incapacitated, but you are immobile, and then you end up getting your neck slaughtered. And I'm just like, that's all on you. Because Daniel the whole time has always been like, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to see them. He has always been very skittish.
He's been on edge the entire film.
He does not want to be around them. So now all of a sudden when you're this close to getting out, you're like, let me go save
leave John behind.
That's what I'm saying. John is gone. And like if his wife can realize that, I don't know why you cannot. It was weird. That's why I'm like, that wasn't the big error we're talking about, but it's just like, okay, like, now you want to go save John. Now John, you know, air quotes, has killed you. And then now you don't get to go away and go back to your family, what you were trying so hard to do in the first place.
Yep.
So that's why I'm like, what? Like, at this point, did you just want to stay in there? Like, did you just want to stay in the forest? Because to me, I'm just like, ultimately,
he wanted to die.
You knew John was not alive. All of you guys knew that. You guys all knew John wasn't alive, which is her husband. And the reason why you guys probably like, how did you guys know it wasn't him or whatnot? We knew he was a watcher because she said, Sierra, his wife, said, John, what's my favorite book? Or what book am I reading right now? And he had no idea. He was like, just let me in. Because obviously the watchers, yes, they can transform into us, but they don't have our thoughts. So she's like, of course you do. You got it for me. That's his wife telling him outside of the bunker. Like I said, we know John is dead. So now all of a sudden you want to go save a random John in the forest when you're literally at the boat ready to leave. That's what you want to do.
Exactly.
It's stupid. It's a huge flaw. I'm just like, okay. Like, now he cares about John. Like, what?
They end up escaping after that. Mina, Sierra, and Madeline do. They end up getting to land. They get on a bus. They end up going like really they're technically like they're separate ways. But then Mina and Sierra meet up at Sierra's place, and
this is after Mina finds all the professor's books and stuff, because the reason why Mina needs to go to the professor's office, because he is a college professor.
Yep.
The reason why she needs to go there is because he said in the bunker she found a bunch of his notes. This is how we kind of figure out the lore of the whole movie, which, like I said, once again, you're doing it far too late. You're doing it far too late. But anyways, you're going ahead and telling us, you know, what the professor, like what ultimately he was doing, and that's how we saw, you know, about him keeping a watcher and what they are and why he believes this. And then he's like, hey, burn all my research, get rid of it. If you find this, you know, get rid of it.
Yeah. And so Mina ends up meeting up with Sierra.
Because Sierra was actually gone.
Because Sierra was like actually
This was
gone.
Madeline pretending to be Sierra.
Exactly, yeah. So this was Madeline pretending to be Sierra.
So this is where this is that M. Night Shyamalan error.
Like, oh God.
Literally, Mina is talking to Madeline, right? It's not really Sierra. She's talking to Madeline, and she's literally telling Madeline, which, like I said, she thinks she's talking to Sierra. She's telling her about everything that we just told you guys. Like, hey, they're watchers. They do this. And Madeline was really the professor's wife that he wanted to end up turning back. He basically wanted the watcher to end up forming to Madeline so he could have his wife back, right? And then be able to live with her forever, because they never talked about the aging of the monsters or anything like that. Just know that they've been around for a very long time. The big flaw comes in because ultimately he's saying that, the professor made the watcher Madeline, right? But all of a sudden, Mina's like giving this little dissertation pretty much about, you feel human emotions and it's because you're used to being with us and all these other things. And I'm like, girl, this isn't grasping, because did he fuck the watcher that was really in there with him?
Hey,
like,
yo.
That's why I'm saying it's a huge flaw, because it's okay, well, ultimately did the professor end up making his wife, and then because Madeline ends up telling us, oh, that professor tried to kill me. Okay, so then that means we know that is the one that he kept in captivity. But then you transformed into his wife. How did that occur when his wife is already dead?
Very confusing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you see, everything of what I'm
holes.
saying doesn't make sense. None of it connects. None of it literally connects. Because I'm like, okay, well, so then you were ending up being with the Watcher that you wanted to turn into Madeline. But maybe he showed, okay, give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he showed her a picture or something and just acted his way.
But they still got to see the actions and how they move, and I don't know. I just feel like it was a really big plot hole. But of course, as always, let us know if you guys interpreted it differently. Put in the comments below and see, is there something we missed? Because that third act felt wasted. At that point, I was ready to leave the theater personally. I was pretty much done with the movie because nothing made sense and nothing really had that much value to us when it came to like the characters, who they were, why they were there, the motivations, even them escaping. I didn't even care about them escaping because I don't understand much of what's going on.
But ultimately, Madeline ends up turning into, once again, that fairy with those wings and just flies off. So after, like I said, Mina gives this whole excerpt or dissertation about it's because you feel these human emotions and that's why you wanted to protect us, and that's truly
because you're like half. They said they were like halves or something.
That's what the big flaw was, because it was saying that the professor, remember, he kept this Watcher down there, and this is who they're saying is Madeline. But then they're saying Mina's in her dissertation was literally like, oh yeah, it's because you're half human, you're half of us. How? So is it because why? How is the Watcher now half human? You had to have slept
with him. You had to.
That's what I'm saying. But then that's not the one that he had downstairs, because remember that one Madeline just said she was shot at. You see, once again, makes no sense. So it's okay. Is this someone who's actually half human, or is this a full-blown Watcher, or is it I think what they meant for Dakota Fanning, Mina's character, to say is, you started to grow human emotions because of how much you've adapted to Madeline's behaviors.
The script was not fully finished.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what this whole
Somebody did not proofread it.
I'm just like, what is this whole half thing now of like, it's because you're half human. And then like I said, so were you coming there to plan on, so the thing is also to me, Madeline, was your big idea as the Watcher, because I know that they were held underground for a long time, so it's like they want to come back out, they want to be seen. But to me, I'm ultimately like, okay, well, if y'all are all Watchers, they basically want to end up adapting to the people they have in this box. But it's okay, well, ultimately, why haven't you guys left and been just among us anyway? Like, I'm confused as to why you guys have to be. Oh, but also Madeline did say whenever they were leaving on the boat that they're stuck here. They have to stay here. So ultimately, what the fuck is the point of y'all watching us to adapt to us when y'all know y'all can't leave the forest? Once again, another L on M. Night Shyamalan. That makes no sense. Because, I want to learn how to become a human and adapt to you guys' ways. To what, live in the forest? Which you guys are already doing in your own actual self. So, like
it's very, very confusing. And to be honest with you, it is just a movie that
just falls flat.
I'm just very, like I said, I don't know if I can say I'm disappointed because I did not have any expectations. So with that being said, you can kind of tell where this is going. We give the Watchers an F. An F. It was a waste of time. If you do end up watching this movie, please do so from home. I do not think it's worth going to the movies to watch. And
M. Night, honestly, get into your bag of how creepy they look. We once again, we're redirecting stuff.
We don't have to redirect Fs because they're Fs for a reason. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you for joining us on the Zay's World channel. It has been Zay here with Chris. And we want you guys to tune in for the extra movies and television shows that we have in the future coming for you. Of course,
make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we will catch you guys next time. And if you're being watched at night, remember,
I always feel like somebody's watching you.
Yes, remember, we're all being watched.
We love you, Mike Jack.
Peace out.